The views expressed in this episode are the opinions of the cast members and do not represent the views of the United States Navy or the United States government. So, for those watching who are wondering what ROM is restriction of movement, and it's the politically correct way of saying quarantine because we can't say quarantine. Apparently, it's bad for some reason, and I probably should know, but we use
What?
the term ROM. Yeah.
I didn't
We
know
use
that.
the term ROM in place of that. Basically, just saying sailors can't leave, right? If you have eyes,
Did he just kick himself out of the chat?
Maybe.
That is totally going in. It's going in. So before we bring Pastor Shaughnessy in, let's talk a little bit about what we did during our ROM periods. Go ahead, Davis. What did you do during the ROM?
Wow. During my ROM period, I gained at least 5 pounds.
I gained 10.
Like,
that
I
sounds about
felt
right.
like majority of my time was eating, sleeping. I binge watched Merlin, and I did a little bit of exercising here and there, some push-ups, sit-ups in my room and everything. So I tried to keep a semi workout, but majority of the time I definitely did not crave the food or want the food that I already had in my pantry. So there was a lot of, Domino's, can I have 2 chocolate lava cakes, please?
Is that what you
That's
did?
pretty much what I did.
All right. So I haven't had to do a special ROM period yet, minus the big one that we did. And during that time, I actually built the cabinet that the second display capture is on, and it actually holds all my stuff, including my BB gun and a couple other interesting things that I'm not going to talk about on this show. Um, but a lot of times during this whole period, I spent a lot of time watching YouTube, like most people. Most people just sat and watched YouTube. I also would spend a lot of time outside in the garage with my AC blasting and my stereo going, working on said wood project. I actually got heavier into woodworking since then because my laser broke. I have one of those laser engraving things. Trying to get into
That's
CNC, but
cool.
it's expensive to get into. If you're a user of CNC machines and you're listening or watching, please let me know if you can find a CNC machine less than $500. Appreciate it. What did you do during ROM? A awesome
Okay,
chief petty officer of the United States Navy. What did you do during ROM?
nothing. Nothing. No, I'm just playing. No, I did stuff. Let's see. So before the COVID stuff started kicking off, and before we were like, no, there's no way it's going to impact us. Might have been one case in the US, and there was no way it was going to come to Hawaii, right? Um, there was a plan to get us on the online, and when I say get us online, I'm talking about the administrative tasks that we have,
Mm-hmm.
um, to just get it online. So when we did go into the ROM period, I say that like it's like this mystical thing. When we delve into the ROM period, um, I started messing with SharePoint because SharePoint seemed like the obvious choice. Um, and I was honestly messing with SharePoint for like 4 to 6 hours every day, Saturday, Sunday, um, because the rest of the time was just kind of spent home, sitting around, not sitting around, but I got a lot of good quality time with my wife and my daughter. Um, I'll be honest with you, I didn't work out that much. Um, my division and we had a once per week virtual PT thing we were doing on Zoom, where we would go around and basically everyone had to run through one exercise. By the time that was done, we probably were 30, 45 minutes into it, got a good workout in. That was like once a week. And honestly, I didn't do much more than that. Um, I did have a couple projects around the house. There was actually the table that I'm kneeling on right now or leaning on. It was, it had to be refinished. and it sat in my carport for like a month and a half because I just knew I had all of this time to get to it. And yeah, I let a lot of things drag on, but I certainly didn't. I don't think I used my time wisely, except for spending quality time with my daughter and my wife. That was, needless to say, that was my favorite time. But you can only do so much spending time with family in a 24-hour period. So I do regret not doing other things. And I told myself, and what I'm working toward right now is if there, God forbid, if something like that happens again, where we're in this long ROM period, I would do other things toward professional development, like school and certifications and learning things new, or personal development, mainly physical training, PT, things like that. So yeah, that's about what I did.
Yep. So today's episode, if you haven't guessed already, is about restriction of movement, quarantine, and things that we did to occupy ourselves during that period, and for some of those of us that are still in that period. So without further ado, Chief, you want to let our guest know that he's actually allowed in now?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me send him a text real quick.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is CTR1 Shaughnessy. He's brought to us by Chief Petty Officer Peavy, just to talk about most of his accomplishments of the awesome things he did during his ROM period. Chief, take it away.
So I invited Petty Officer Shaughnessy to the show yesterday. I gave him a brief idea of what was going on. What Petty Officer Shaughnessy may not know is, what are we in episode 6?
Confirm, episode 6.5, because of that half episode I did a while back.
That's right. That's like 1/8 of an episode. But I think it was like episode 3 or 4. We did a topic on inspiration, and I brought CTR1 Shaughnessy up as an example of, don't restrict your inspirational resources to senior people or older people or people you think are wiser, right? Look for those opportunities everywhere. And it just so happened right before we did that show, CTR1 Shaughnessy, who was CTR2 Shaughnessy, was like a big source of inspiration. In fact, he is the reason why I'm taking a master's course next month. And he's actually the reason why a few sailors in our division, and Petty Officer Shaughnessy is one of my division sailors, a few sailors are enrolled in college. A few civilians have completed professional certifications. And I mean, I got to be honest with you, man, when I saw your resume, I was blown away because you had done all of this stuff during a ROM period where, you know what, maybe a lot of people did get a lot of stuff done, but in my environment and like within me, I realized there was so much more that I could have been doing. So at the time, and even now, you're a big source of inspiration for me. So I definitely wanted to take this opportunity to have you on and share that inspiration with others, whoever else is going to watch this with us 3 here, and, just find out more about you and do a show. So without further ado, Petty Officer Shaughnessy, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. Thank you for the introduction. So during that time period, I was working. We can't go too in depth into that, but during that time period, I was the only member of my team, and I also took over for another team as well. I did 6 professional certifications during probably a 5-month period. And I did 3 master's classes, and I'm finishing up another 2 right now. This next set is going to put me at halfway after this one's done because I'm doubled up as well.
So
why'd you do it, man? Why'd you do it?
Why? You could have had free leave there.
Well, so again, like I said, I was working, so it would just be every other week off. And I try to maintain positive momentum at all times. I think if I just took a week off between each set or whatever the time period was, I don't think I could hit it with the same momentum. I think we see a lot of people having trouble reintegrating into even just a normal working day after having been out for months on end. And I think that momentum, that loss of momentum, can happen even over very short periods of time. Also, it looks great on a resume.
I totally agree with you on that. In the beginning, I just wanted to just watch TV, my shows and stuff. I was like, ooh, no work. I'm just going to sit here. And then I was thinking, like, when I am working, what are the things that I struggle to get done? And so I'm like, okay, that's when I'm like, let me put this and write it down on paper. So it's not just something I'm saying to myself. I can see it and be like, okay, I look up at my calendar. I know today I'm supposed to be doing this. The next day I'm supposed to be doing this. I can keep and have self accountability for myself. So I definitely understand when you said, like, it's hard to keep that momentum going, especially once we started going back to work. The other things that I was focusing on that I was focusing on during ROM, I started to kind of slack off on, because I'm like, okay, I got to get back to waking up super early and getting myself back on a good sleep schedule, and not having, because I love my naps. So I had my nap times during ROM period, and it totally bit me when it was time to go back to work around like 1 o'clock. I was like, woo, I'm getting sleepy. Gotta wake myself back up, get back on this work schedule. So I definitely agree when you said, like, try to keep yourself in that momentum, so that way it's easier to integrate back into work, or vice versa. Totally agree with that.
Yeah, and absolutely. That actually, I prepared a sort of a couple notes of the topic as presented, was how to maintain motivation during coronavirus. And I think that that touches on it a little bit, of building a schedule for yourself, implementing. So what I had sort of listed off is establish completable goals. So each person you have to have a direction. You have to have some goal, whether you're going to be in the Navy as long as they'll let you, or whether you have shorter term plans than that. You always have to be building that. And this provides a great framework to accomplish anything you want. You're not, I mean, we're all still getting paid, thank God. So this is a perfect time to take college courses, to do certs, to get even your sleep back in order, to get fitness back in order, or diet, or whatever it is, whatever the goal is. So I had set completable goals for myself. I took one class starting, and I piled on some certifications with this. I'm in basically a project management role right now, so I thought it'd be appropriate to double down and take some of those civilian side credentialing to really take advantage of my current position, and to expand my own ability. So I went through agile development. I went through, which was like a 5-month course that I completed in, I think, about 2 months. And then I also did the entire Lean Six Sigma series, white through black belt. During that single course, just to simulate being doubled up, was a lot of the motivation there too. So I also put limit downtime. Whatever works for the individual, I think. I wanted to sleep a little more, so I was getting up at 7 or 8 versus 5 or 6, and not or whatever time. But I think limiting the downtime is pretty essential to maintaining just personal self-esteem and motivation. When people are up real late at night, I saw them texting in, mustering at midnight and just slightly after. You can tell they weren't maintaining those schedules. So limiting downtime is no TV, no YouTube, no drinking alcohol until 7 or 8 at night. You want to make sure that you can keep accomplishing goals effectively and with focus. And that just contributes to creating positive habits, which I think is essential to all functionality, really.
I didn't want to cut you off.
No,
Are you done? Okay.
We can talk on that if you want.
Oh no, that's yeah, I think that's great advice to anyone. I guess this is an opportunity for me to ask things like that I don't already know. Like, obviously you've done some great stuff over the past 6 months, but I haven't been with the division that long. Right.
Mhm.
So I've been with you guys since January. So I don't know if that your philosophy is something that you've had ever since you were second class or before or when you first joined. So I would like to kind of explore the petty officer Shaughnessy, before I knew him.
Well, I was a second class for a very long time, as you know. I did, but I don't think my goals were as clear. I think work-wise, I've been pretty consistent all the way through. I was always very mission focused, and I didn't necessarily direct myself toward things that you can put on paper. Obviously, a lot of the work stuff we do doesn't translate that well. So that kind of stuck me at second class for a while because there just wasn't as much that could be represented.
So I'm sorry. So for clarification, when you say on paper, you're talking about the things that you would put in a brag sheet or a Navy evaluation, things that would, help with advancement, right?
Correct.
In the traditional sense. Okay.
Correct. Right. I've done collaterals. I've done, a number of these things before, but I really kind of fought it for a while because especially at, third class and second class, I still feel that the purpose is to become a technical expert. And I think by definition, that's true, but it doesn't always work that way because especially given that what we do can't always be represented fully. So yeah, I don't think I had as a clear direction in establishing completable goals like I was talking about. I always tried to develop whatever mission I was working, and I've been relatively successful in taking things very different places than when I initially got there. Obviously, I can't, go too crazy in depth.
No, sure. So CTR1 Shaughnessy, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
10 years is a long time. There's probably going to be a number of changes. So right now I'm doing a public administration degree. So ultimately I would be maybe in some sort of political position or administrative position over a town or a city.
Okay.
Or a governor or something if I could.
Okay. Is the Navy a career for you, or you see yourself getting out before 20? Or
well, that's an extremely tough call to make. I think right now because it's going to be tough to tell what career opportunities even exist. So I think regardless, this the coronavirus really complicates any answer. But ideally, I think if I stayed in, I'd probably want to go toward more of the policy side of it, whether that be a warrant officer or an LDO or something like that.
okay, I dig that. Pet Officer Davis, you have anything to ask?
Not necessarily. Exactly, like how did you like the certifications and stuff that you were doing, exactly how did you like hear about them and stuff?
So I've been aware. So my wife actually did the agile management because when she used to, well, she's now working again for Maryland State as a health policy analyst. She has a master's degree in health policy. And her boss got her to build basically a agile guide, because the state was trying to go to this development method, or this management method, which strays a lot away from traditional management methodology, and I liked a lot of it. So I just and Lean Six Sigma is commonly used. It's ideally used in the military. Officers use it theoretically, and these are just project management in general is within the CTR career ladder. If you look at that, the Lean Six Sigma path is within our career ladder, and it also just provides a good basis for any management style. I don't know if that answers the question.
True. No, it does, because you knew you were interested in these things, and you were able to go out and apply yourself and get them done. You got a lot of stuff done. Like, holy sugar honey iced tea, you got a lot of stuff done. Like, yeah. I'm amazed. But like, I feel like the joys of ROM, it forces you to have self-discipline, if that's something you necessarily struggled with. Like for me, like self-discipline when it comes to like virtual classes, I do not like taking virtual classes. Like I like being hands-on, in person, like to talk to the teacher. And so like because we had to go through this ROM period, and with like the isolation, all the regs from the different states and stuff like that, of how, like where you can go and stuff like that, if you can even go outside for that period, and curfews and stuff, I really had to like bite down on like self-discipline, like get in this front of this computer and sit here for 4 hours, listen to the teacher, and get this work done. Like I really had to like increase my self-discipline, because that was one of I'm going to say slightly probably still do have a little bit, is just when it comes to classes, if I just have to do a computer only, which is crazy though, because I like to learn new things and everything. So it's weird that I find it difficult for me to sit down at a computer to do my classes, my virtual classes, because that's the only method that a lot of colleges are doing right now, in universities. Right. But when I want to learn about, what's going on in the world and different perspectives on things or debates, I can sit and just on my phone and watch YouTube and watch the whole debate. And it can be like a 2-hour debate or something, and I have no problem doing it. And so it's just like the ROMs of joy. It was just like, okay, Davis, get your stuff together. Like, if you want to do this, is this the career you want to do? You have to have self-discipline and apply yourself and do it yourself, because everybody's not going to be there and do it. Everybody's not going to do things in the way that's more comfortable or suited for you. You got to learn how to accommodate and modify yourself and other aspects of the world and in life in general and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely do. I definitely do struggle with maintaining motivation, with maintaining focus. I think everybody does. When I think using breaks constructively can really help. If you end up you can end up just zoning out at papers or at research articles or whatever it is that you're working on. And I think if you just break it up into manageable periods and then use those off periods to accomplish things like doing laundry or go for a walk or just anything positive to break that up can really help. Also, I think one thing that really helps maintain focus is just actually like reflecting on the successes after a day. If you can comfortably say that you really did everything you could, it's a good feeling. And I think focusing on the success and focusing on that momentum and not letting other people's accomplishments degrade that, whether you're feeling good because you got a good grade on a class or you were the example or whatever it was, and then somebody else goes, oh yeah, well I did my bachelor's back whenever, and you go, who cares, like this is still great. whatever it is. So focusing on that is, I think, imperative to maintaining that momentum.
So while I have all three of you, I know me and I know some people around me, right? But I don't know everyone, right? And I know that there are people who can tell themselves, okay, I'm stuck in a rut. And I've been stuck in a rut for 2 months or 4 months or 2 days. And I need to get out of this rut. And this is what I'm going to do, starting tomorrow.
Mm.
And I know there's the opposite of the spectrum, right? There are people who are stuck in a rut and cannot get out of that rut and need, whether it's the right person to talk to them or the right action to happen, or whatever the case is, those people exist, right? And it's my goal, like it should be most of our goals, right, to help people through those situations. So if we just so happen to have someone watching this episode needing more help than what they can tell themselves or what the people in their own environment can tell them, to inspire them, like, what would you guys share? Let's say, for example, they've been in a rut for 5 months and they would like to get out of the rut tomorrow morning. What do they do?
For me, honestly, starting the morning off, for me, in my opinion, the way you start your morning off will determine how you feel about the rest of the day. So when I wake up and I know I want to have a productive day, I want to wake my body up. So I'll wake up, I'll get me some stretches in, like just 10 minutes of just stretching. And I listen to my music to pump me up and stuff. And I'm like, whew, I'm ready. Like I'm going to do the next thing. And another thing that helped me was an accountability partner. I kid you not. I would say, because, working out is like one of the things that it's really hard for me to stay consistent in. I kid you not, having an accountability partner forced me and it helped me stay consistent because my accountability partner held me to what my word was, what I said I wanted to do. And they also gave me a task for them. They were like, I want to do this, so help me and I'll help you. So it was always, I didn't feel like doing it and they would call, hey, you ready? And I'm like, oh, okay. You also want to increase your run time and stuff like this. So I don't want to slack off because I don't want you to slack off. And that forced me to like get up and go out. And I feel like the hardest part when you're in a rut is the initiation. Once you're out there, you're good. You might complain and be like, I don't feel like doing this, but like the initiation, the getting out of your bed and actually going to do whatever it is that you plan on doing is the most difficult part. So especially when it came to studying, like me and my accountability partner, it was, oh, why do you have to go study? Like, you got to go study. Now I have to go study. And it just trickled. Like it was me and one of my really good friends. We first started it, and then another person came and was like, well, I want to be an accountability partner. And then she had an accountability partner. And then it turned into, well, you're studying and you're studying. I don't want to be the only person not studying, so I'm going to go study too. So I feel like accountability partners, keeping.
Wait, is that a legit term, accountability partner?
That's a thing.
Yes.
People just say, I need an accountability partner
when I was in school.
Also known as a
That was like
battle
one of the main
buddy.
things they always said in school. They were like, "Get one."
And also known as shipmate.
They had that too.
All right, so
When I joined, the first thing a chief said was get an accountability partner. He was like, "Get an accountability partner if you want to make it." And I was like,
I think she censored herself there. Anyways, so we're down to the last 5 minutes. Last word, everybody. Start with you, Shaughnessy. Thank you for coming. And
Glad to hear.
yeah, we got less than 4 minutes.
All right. Do we want to go around the room and finish up
yeah.
what you would do?
Well, we
if
only
you-
have we only got 4 minutes. This thing's gonna cut out on us like it did last time.
Hey,
So
but I was just honest, share something in the next minute and a half, man.
Absolutely. So I think she kind of talks about that getting started. There's a motivational speech by a SEAL admiral, I think, and he talks about the most important part of your day is making your bed. Now I don't necessarily practice this exact thing, but he says that the first thing you do in the morning is you make your bed, because that provides a success. You did something that you didn't have to do that just sets the path forward. And basically he goes through all of this where basically even if you end up failing, at least you know you have a made bed at the end of the day. And I think that's absolutely right. Setting completable goals, setting attainable objectives is and stuff that you can get ready feedback on, not something necessarily. If you've been in a rut for months, I don't expect you to take on something huge. Maybe just something small, maybe a free cert that only takes you a day, anything. I think is a great way to get started, and getting positive people in your life is really important too. Those accountability partners or anybody like that does inspire you to not just complain about how much stuff sucks.
absolutely.
That's what, yeah.
So for me, for anybody that's listening, this podcast in its design was to help get people out of a rut. If you feel like you're in a rut, feel free to message me on the alias, the whatthenavy@gmail.com alias, because that's what this is for. And me personally, when I was in my rut, that's when I started with the cabinet that is currently holding up my TV. So it just works. You just got to find something to do. And whether that's taking a walk, making a new friend, hang out in the smoke pit with a mask on, of course. Chief?
Back
ahead,
in
Chief.
2012, I was going through some pretty rough times, and it was probably the longest I was stuck in a rut. And time and feeling peaceful about things led me to just like really appreciate being able to wake up and being able to do things that some people don't have the opportunity to do, like walk on 2 feet or smell things or see things. So whenever I get in a rut, it always helps me to just start from the basics, right? Remember my senses. And so this latest rut that I was in, the way I got out of it was I would wake up pretty early, and I have legs and I have feet. So the first thing I did before I brushed my teeth, washed my face, whatever I had to do, I put on some running shoes and I ran. And that really kind of set up my day, kind of really gave me a foundation. And that was some time ago, but I was not running what I'm running right now. But yeah, that really just gave that kind of, like I said, set my day, gave me the motivation to, hey, if I failed in something, I could pick myself back up. But I'm happy knowing that I at least got physical training done. And it's kind of the same concept of what we've all been talking about, right? Is setting those small goals and accomplishing attainable goals. And for me, it's running. Right now, it's running and PT, and I guess polishing up my discipline. And so Monday through Friday, whether it's 3 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, or I feel like crap, so I don't want to run at any of those times. So I'll leave work a little early to run. That running is kind of setting my day up, whether it's before or after. And it reminds me what I have. And to be grateful for what I have. And it goes a long way. So if you got legs, get up, run. If you have eyes, use them. If you haven't looked at the beauty that's around you every day, if you've been filtering out, appreciate everything you have. And for me, that, like I said, has helped out with setting the tone, setting the foundation. And you do that more often, you forget the last time you had a bad day. So, yeah, that's about it.
The rut that Chief is talking about, we will be addressing this rut, which I also call a dark forest, in another video, especially with next month being Suicide Prevention Month. Thank you, Petty Officer Shaughnessy, for participating in this episode of What the Navy. Your successes inspire us all, and especially Chief, because he has not stopped talking about it for the last 2 weeks. So.
Well, yeah, I'm glad to provide inspiration. I think we all need help with setting goals and finding new things to attain as we accomplish things. We have to continue setting goals to maintain that positive momentum.
Thank you for watching this week's episode. Please give us a like and subscribe and hit the notification button so you can catch all of our episodes as they're uploaded or when we do it live.
Thank you for watching this week's episode. Please give us a like and subscribe and hit the notification button so you can catch all our episodes as they're uploaded or when we do it live.